I absolutely disagree with Charlie KIRK, Matt Walsh, and everyone else who agrees with these tweets. I agree on pausing all immigration. It's obvious there is a problem here. However, the finger is being pointed at the wrong people, and the fact that third world countries are being singled out is also problematic. I am a first-generation immigrant from Kenya. If it's not a xenophobic concept, why single them out? Why not just all immigration?
Here we have an issue is the targeting specifically of third world immigrants. KIRK says that there's a difference in education. I don't know if you guys have heard of the visa lottery. Out of the over 2.5 million legal permits that we give people to come here every year, only 55,000 of them maximum come from these countries. They have to put their name into a lottery and get picked randomly. And one of the prerequisites that they have to have in order to win that lottery is a high school diploma or something equivalent to it.
So when one side goes to the extreme, that is not your activation cue to go to the other extreme, okay? They're rioting in LA. That is not your activation cue to send out tweets saying we need to no longer allow immigration, okay?
I am an immigrant. You will never see me burn, in this case, the American flag.
We need to abolish gray areas, such as being able to marry a relative to gain citizenship. Ilhan Omar did this. We need to abolish birthright citizenship for anyone who is not a legal permanent resident or a citizen. We need to abolish welfare for illegals. We need to abolish sanctuary cities. Hi everyone, habari zenu, como está, guten morgen, konnichiwa, ohoro anyu, and it is Kenyan Hippie or African Hippie back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about why, as a conservative, I absolutely disagree with Charlie KIRK, Matt Walsh, and everyone else who agrees with these tweets. I will give a disclaimer before I begin that I agree on pausing all immigration. I agree with that because it's obvious there is a problem here. However, the finger is being pointed at the wrong people, and the fact that third world countries are being singled out is also problematic, and I'm going to explain why. I am a first-generation immigrant from Kenya. On the issue of specifying third world countries, why single them out? If it's not a xenophobic concept or xenophobia, why single them out? Why not just all immigration? There's a bias there, and if you don't see it, you're part of the problem.
A lot of conservatives have been calling Charlie KIRK and Matt Walsh woke right or extreme on their ex-posts of banning third world immigrants, legal or illegal. Matt Walsh said ban all third world immigration, legal or illegal. There should be a moratorium on all immigration from the third world. We've reached our capacity. We cannot be the world's soup kitchen anymore. That tweet was pretty clear. He wants a temporary ban on all immigrants from third world countries. It's time to ban third world immigration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit and we have a huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problem to fix now because of it. We need a net zero immigration moratorium with a ban on all third worlders. There is no way to misinterpret that as being the same as Matt Walsh's, except he gives more explanation on why. I've said in many of my videos, it's impossible to empty a sink unless you shut the water off first. Those of us that disagree with these two have no problems stopping immigration if you are talking about all immigration. Where we have an issue is the targeting specifically of third world immigrants. Charlie says that we have a huge cultural issue with third world immigrants. Asians that come from third world countries like India, or if you want to consider China a third world country still, lead our country in education and success. Their cultures are vastly different than a majority of Americans, but we never complain about them because they don't affect us. Charlie KIRK says that there's a difference in education. I don't know if you guys have heard of the visa lottery. Out of the over 2.5 million legal permits that we give people to come here every year, only 55,000 of them maximum come from these countries. They have to put their name into a lottery and get picked randomly. And one of the prerequisites that they have to have in order to win that lottery is a high school diploma or something equivalent to it. People who come here on a green card can't get government assistance until they become an actual citizen. They have to sign something holding their sponsors accountable if they cannot provide for themselves. So we do vet our legal citizens that come here. They are not the problem. They earn their way, and they are very patient to do so. They come from far less privilege than Americans have, and they outachieve us. That is what America is all about. Having a fear of foreigners changing the culture or the landscape of where you live is called xenophobia. That is what people are calling them out on, saying we shouldn't allow people to earn their way into this country because we fear what they might do. It's no different than saying we shouldn't allow people to have guns because we're afraid of what they might do with them. If they eloquently explained which third world migrants and why, then I would agree that these posts are not extreme. But putting all immigrants from third world countries, which are vastly different from each other in culture and religion, especially when a lot of them are Christian, and honestly more devout Christians than most Western Christians, is an extremely ignorant thing to do and is definitely an extremist viewpoint.
The problems being caused in this country currently are not because of legal immigrants. They're because of illegal immigrants as well as non-immigrant visa holders. The rationale of vetting people and not allowing anyone in the country is exactly why I'm disagreeing with you. I believe a lot of people agreeing with this stance, these extremist stances, don't grasp how immigration works, especially legal immigration. Because if you did, you would understand that the USCIS does vet legal immigrants. We do have to submit a clear background check from our country's police departments. They even now do a social media review. Did you guys know that? No, you don't. Why? Because you don't do your homework.
Hey Republicans, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say something that may piss a few of you off, but I think you need to hear it. So when one side goes to the extreme, that is not your activation cue to go to the other extreme, okay? They're rioting in LA. That is not your activation cue to send out tweets saying we need to no longer allow immigration, okay? That doesn't make any sense. And please excuse me if I'm being a little loud right now, because I'm so sick and tired of seeing one side going to the extreme and then seeing the exact opposite side going to the exact opposite extreme and making the problem even worse. It's like you're antagonizing people. You're instigators. Stop instigating stuff. It's unnecessary, okay? America is a country of opportunity. Opportunity that people should have the right to experience, okay? Who cares what country they come from, so as long as they come here legally? To say that we should no longer allow immigration from third world countries is ignorant and stupid and comes from your own personal bias and not understanding that some people don't have as good of lives as you do, okay? So as long as you come here legally, I don't care where you're from. So as long as you're not a criminal, I don't care where you're from. Come to America, experience the opportunities we have, get an education, start a career, start a family, live your life, plant your roots here, but do it legally.
And just like Mickey says, the pendulum swinging too far left and too far right is why we're in the situation we are right now. Like I said, a lot of you who agree on Matt's and Charlie Kirk's stances on immigration don't really grasp how legal immigration looks like. Legal immigrants go through a background check. Green card lottery holders, also permanent residents, go through a background check, and only a high school diploma and above can apply for that status. They're not eligible for any welfare. They don't get housing or jobs. All they get is a card granting them residency in the United States, permanent legal status. So these things here, oh, they're using up all the welfare. Asylum seekers are problematic, and I'll go into why. People on non-immigrant visas, like I said, student visas and tourist visas are not immigrants. They're non-immigrant visas. They're here for a very specific time. Them overstaying their visas, also a problem. I do not like the idea of grouping legal immigrants and illegals in the same group. We are not the same. The legal immigrants follow the law. They go through the long way. They wait. They pay. Like I said, I spent at least $10,000 on my path to citizenship. So no one is going to stand here and tell me I'm a problem and I'm causing cultural, financial, economic problems in the United States. That's absolutely unfair and untrue. Legal immigrants assimilate into the country. Most of us are required to speak English, or at least we do speak English. Most of us are multilingual because we have our tribal language and then we learn English in our home countries. Legal immigrants are not a monolith. We're not the same. Someone from India is not the same as someone from Kenya. And on that note, since you're saying all problems becoming problematic, I would like to ask how a legal immigrant is a problem. I would like to know right now, if you have a specific problem with a legal immigrant, how they've affected your life personally, please tell me. Another issue I have is in pointing the fingers at the wrong people. We are choosing, and by we I mean you, Charlie KIRK and Matt Walsh are choosing to ignore the huge issues in this country as it stands, minus immigration. Let's assume immigration was not even a problem. How about the cultural problems in the United States? How about the crime rates? How about the welfare recipients who turn welfare into a career choice? The EBT queens? How about the blue states where the welfare is the highest? Metropolitan cities where unions are a problem? The unions that fund the Democrats? Again, this is a problem. I'm not saying immigration is not a problem, but the problem here is illegal immigration and the Democrat cities and states that support it, that provide these sanctuary cities to illegals and hide them. I would like to understand how legal immigrants have affected education, culture, the economy. How? Legal immigrants pay their way to their resident status. They maintain the residency status. Even those who do not become citizens because their home countries may not allow dual citizenship and they don't want to revoke the citizenship, as long as they're here legally, they're paying the USCIS. You guys have to understand we actually pay the USCIS. And each time your green card expires, you pay more money. Each time it expires, you pay more money. You go through the biometrics process. You have an interview. It's more complex than you think. The legal immigrants I know, again, are the most passionate patriots I have met in my entire life.
I am an immigrant. You will never see me burn, in this case, the American flag. You know why? Because that flag giving to me future, dream, food, clothes, thinking and dreaming in something better for my life. All of you, they burn the flag, this beautiful flag. Shame on you. American people, I'm talking to you right now. You see in the television, people burn the flag. That's not my people. My people is the people believe in this country. It's the people believe in the dream. It's the people defend their country. I always say in the corner of the street or neighborhood, we love United States. That's why I'm here right now. Y me da vergüenza y pena que ustedes estén quemando la bandera americana.
They may not be as outspoken as I am. You don't get to see them. They come from places like African countries, Asian countries. They come from all over the place and they are all so passionate about this country. But those are the people you are lumping us with the illegals. And that's absolutely unfair. I will not be accused of something I'm not doing. And if you cannot see why that's unfair, unfounded, and impractical, then you're part of the problem. If it affects you and bothers you that I have dual citizenship, ask yourself why that's a problem for you. I should be able to vote in both my countries because why is that a problem for you? How is that affecting you? I can vote in America, I can vote in Kenya. I can buy land in America, I can buy land in Kenya. That does not affect my patriotism to this country. It does not make me a bad person. Please, let us stop lumping up, one, legal immigrants as if we are a monolith because we are not. Let's stop lumping up illegal and legal immigrants. Let us please learn a bit more about what legal immigration looks like and the differences between illegal and legal immigration. Here are my suggestions for immigration reform. English is now the national language and official language of America. Every person who comes to live here, even on those with non-immigrant visas, have to be able to speak and understand English. It's a very basic request that helps with assimilating into this country. We need to tighten the tracking of non-immigrant visas. Again, this is the student visa, the tourist visa, the B2. Because I have noticed that once they overstay their visa, nothing really happens to them. And again, they hide in Democrat-run cities, and for a reason. Because as we know, the Democrats like overstayed visas and undocumented people, because those are votes for them. It's why people in places like California had a lot of votes. And this brings me to my next point. There needs to be voter registration and proof of citizenship before anyone can vote. I did not put in the work, the money, the time, and 5 years to apply for citizenship so that one right the ability to vote can be taken away from me by someone who's here and they're undocumented. That's absolutely unfair even to the legal immigrants themselves. Anyone caught protesting on a student visa, on a B2 visa, should have immediate deportation. A legal immigrant on a green card, someone on here on legal permanent residency, if they were caught breaking the law, it would be immediate deportation. So make it make sense why illegals who are caught committing crime on top of the crime they committed entering here illegally, why they're not deported, why the double standards, why are we so lenient on illegals and so strict with legal immigrants? Why do the illegals get welfare and given food and food stamps, while legal immigrants like myself on green cards are not allowed to, not even eligible? Do you see the hypocrisy in this? That's what needs to be fixed. We need to abolish gray areas, such as being able to marry a relative to gain citizenship. Ilhan Omar did this. Why is she a citizen? That should be considered fraud. You should not be able to marry your relative to gain citizenship. The same way they have really cracked down on fraud, because I will not say it does not happen, especially the 90s, people would get married just for a green card. They would arrive in the United States, live for a few months together, then boom, get a divorce. And the USCIS and the US embassies are very much onto this. So what they do now, even for a CR1 spouse visa, you're given a conditional resident status. This means you have to prove to the USCIS that it is a genuine marriage, it is a legitimate relationship. You have to prove that you've visited each other, lived with one another, you've met each other's families, and even then, at the interview, you may be denied a visa. So people who are pointing the finger at legal immigrants, you have no idea how kind of a rigorous process we go through. On top of the wait, even then, you're given a conditional permanent residency for 2 years, which you have to renew and pay more money to extend. You cannot apply for citizenship before your 5-year mark in the United States. The only exception is if you're married to someone in the military or you're here on a spouse visa and you can apply after 3 years. They are putting in place things to vet and crack down even more to prove the legitimacy of these marriages. A USCIS agent, if they suspect it's a fraudulent marriage, is sent out to check on you randomly at the address you've provided the USCIS. We need to abolish birthright citizenship for anyone who is not a legal permanent resident or a citizen. The gray area here that has been an issue now is that illegals or undocumented, now here's my difference between illegal and undocumented. They're both illegal, however, separate them this way. Illegal, they came in illegally off the bat. Undocumented is they came here legally on a non-immigrant visa, aka a B2 student visa, whatever the case might be, and they overstayed their visa. So that they live in a little purgatory of legalities and illegalities, but they're not kicked out of the country because they are protected by the Democrats. Those are the undocumented. Undocumented people, once they have children in America, automatically these kids are American citizens. That needs to be abolished until the person, the mother of this child, has legal permanent resident status. Asylum seekers should not be automatically given residency. They need to work for it. There is no reason why an asylum seeker should come, get all these benefits, and continue to get these benefits while mooching off the country, being a drain to the American economy. Why not make them work for it? You're going to take a longer process and you will pay back the American taxpayer money that we spent housing you and helping you get back on your feet. We need to abolish welfare for illegals. This is so self-explanatory. It shocked me so much to learn that New York was providing housing, hotels, and food for illegal migrants. How does that even work? Oh, you came in illegally here. We are going to reward you by giving you some free food. You don't have to pay for it. It's free. People are paying for it. Americans are paying for it. Taxpayers are paying for it. Someone like me who literally got a job a week after I landed in the United States, I don't take that very kindly. Last but not least, we need to abolish sanctuary cities. Because why are there cities that are protecting illegal and undocumented migrants? That is absolutely unfair. Sanctuary cities are a huge problem. Those hooligans throwing rocks at cars and setting fires and burning the American flag in Los Angeles and these other blue cities, those are the problem. Like I said, it is not fair to punish legal immigrants who follow the process and wait in line because of what the illegals are doing, because of what the George Soros Democrat-funded hooligans are doing. Legal immigrants love and appreciate this country. They appreciate the work opportunities that are here. appreciate the freedoms that they have here, the freedom of speech. Right now, Kenya is in flames, metaphorically and literally, because the police continue to kill Kenyans who are trying to practice their right to protest that is in the constitution but is not protected.
Tumepigiwa pale tu, angalia tu.
I will not allow anyone to tone police me and tell me, oh, you're just upset because of victim mentality. No, you're projecting your bias. I'm being very practical. I've given you the reasons why. It's time that we stop swinging too left or too right. That is the issue. Stop protecting illegals, but let's stop being anti-immigrants, especially third worlders, because we're just a burden to America, which is again inaccurate. Thank you for staying until the end of this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and please leave your comments in the comment section. I will see you in the next video. Kenyan Hippie out.